Hello, everyone. Today I'm looking at King Kong, the movie, the game. I actually forget what the title is. But yeah, this was a weird game for me, I guess, because I played it back in the day. It was actually a gift from my uncle that I fondly remember. But I also remember thinking, oh, thanks, I guess. Because movie and tie-in games, they're just always known to be just really bad adaptations, and he's never given me like a real gift. He's always given me money for my birthday, and so as a kid I was like, oh great, thanks, you bought me a game because I like games. But and so at the time I didn't really appreciate it, and I played through it. I thought, yeah, that was okay, that was fine. But it was recently that there was a retro review of this game that I kind of thought, oh yeah, there actually was a lot of very innovative things that this game did, like ragdoll physics, completely HUDless UI, interactive party members. They'd like pick up things out of the environment and stuff like that. And I mean, growing up, I was very much into games mainly for the story. If the story was really, really good, then that's what I really appreciated, what I came for. And I kind of had this revelation recently that when I was younger, I really wanted the media that I consumed to reflect me, I guess, in a weird way. And I just felt a game for the sake of a game that doesn't have an engaging story or whatever really wasn't worth my time, and I didn't want to be associated with it. And it's the reason why I actually sold some games when I was younger, not because I needed money to buy newer games or whatnot. I just didn't. I just didn't want to have something in my library that I felt was, I don't know, not good or beneath me. And so obviously, yeah, the King Kong, the movie, the game, story, whatever, is not anything amazing. It's based off a 2006 movie about a gorilla that they find and they bring to New York. Like that's it. That's the whole story, right? And so it's not really impressive in that respect whatsoever. But what was really impressive was all the mechanics that at the time I realized, oh wow, this was a 2006 game. They have stuff like volumetric lighting, ragdoll. I mean, all the stuff I just mentioned. It's a technical marvel, and I really feel that the even the segments when you play as Kong are done really, really well. And there's also enough complexity. Like I don't know, there's very few mechanics in the game, but there's enough of it that it feels really, really good to play. And so, you basically have your guns and your firearms, which have very limited ammo, which I'm always a fan of. I'm always a fan of having very limited ammo for a certain weapon because it feels, it makes the scene that you're using it or the time you're using it feel more iconic. Like, okay, this is when I got the shotgun. It's almost like you're upgrading as you go throughout the game, and it doesn't give you all the tools you need. And so I do like that element of scarcity, of a kind of ammo management, and the fact you can't even see your ammo. You have to press the B button for the character to verbally tell you how much ammo they have left, which is really cool. And outside of that, you also have a bunch of spears. Spears are basically your main weapon. So I love how you have, the most barbaric form and most advanced form of weapons in this game, and they really do work in tandem. And it reminded me a little bit of Shadow Tower Abyss, which I got to play a little bit of on emulator because obviously I don't have a Japanese PS2. And it was an interesting game. It just wasn't very fun, but it reminded me of that theme and that vibe where you're in like this jungle in a ruin and you have guns and also ancient weapons and you're trying to just basically survive. I don't know if I think Shadow Tower Abyss, that was like early mid 2000s. I'm not sure if it was inspired by this game, but apparently this game was very inspirational to the industry. It set a lot of standards for, again, the HUD, the exploration, the way the characters interacted, the kind of scripted sequences, all that kind of stuff that we kind of take for granted now. So yeah, you can throw a spear, you can shoot a gun, you can light the spear on fire and then, make the environment go on fire in the weeds and kill a bunch of things that way. You can, I don't know, you have to like do a bit, not platform, but you have these like small things you have to walk on sometimes. And you can also put bugs on the end of your stick and chuck those, and that'll act as a distraction for other enemies to go there, and you can sneak and stealth by them. And then sometimes there's a puzzle where you have to find some piece of a wooden handle, put it into a thing, and then move it. And so, yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the scope and ambition of the game, if it was marketed as not a full game, or it's more of an experience game, I don't know if I'd feel differently about it. Because for what it is, I really did like it. It's enjoyable. It's fun. Like, it is playable. And I would say the peak moment, obviously, is when you're playing as Kong. He has his own kind of moveset. It feels really good. The feedback on the controller when you're hitting something with the A button, like, you feel like the shock and the impact of Kong hitting things and also getting hit, and vice versa. And it feels really intense, and you have to like mash the A button to kill enemies or whatever. And there's no button on screen reminding you of that, except for the first time you do it, and then you just remember it. And yeah, it's just a very fun, very short game, like 4 or 5 hours, but they're pretty, good, 4 or 5 hours. Again, it has all the gameplay mechanics that are very next gen, very modern for the time, that I think it became a lot of industry staples. Um, it's just that as a standalone thing, it's not exactly a tech demo. It's kind of like a proof of concept, but then taking those mechanics and applying it to a story and a universe with characters I actually care about is what I was missing and what I wanted. Also, people just point out things like even the idle animations on the characters' faces, Jack Black and the other characters. They're very expressive. They feel very real, and they have this weird, like, ethereal vibe to them. And they're just, I don't know, they're just done well, more or less. Again, the absolute peak beyond the Kong battles is when you play as Kong in the final level in New York, and you're just throwing cars around the city. It feels like you're playing Mayhem in 3D. I kind of wish that could be an entire game on its own. You could just be Kong in New York and destroy the city, and have like a closed environment, like a Tony Hawk style thing, where you destroy the city in like 5 to 10 minutes, and you find all the collectibles, and you replay that thing over and over and over again. I think that'd be super fun, super cool to do. And it was just the last segment of the game, which felt, really, really good. But yeah, it was something that I really didn't appreciate when I was younger, because I just thought, okay, this was fine, whatever. But now I kind of see it as like the innovation for what it was. It's kind of like how I had played Super Mario Brothers, the original, hundreds of times on different consoles, virtual consoles, on Wii, on on iPhone or whatever, or any mobile store. But I never actually owned the original, and it was eventually, I just thought, as a homage or as a respect, that I eventually did buy a Nintendo Entertainment System with Super Mario Brothers, so I could actually play it on the original hardware as it was intended, and be like, oh, okay, cool, this is, the thing. And that was the same kind of reasoning that led me to do it for this game as well. It's not an amazing game, it's not super incredible or blowing you away or anything, but it's a pretty distinct experience, and you kind of look at it as a milestone in the industry, where this is when all of this kind of stuff was possible. The whole cinematic experience was pretty much established with this game, like what a cinematic game was, where games were really desperate to be respected or on the same tier as movies, and they were trying to get that respect. So, oh, look, it's like a movie, like you're playing the movies, and that's so cool. And eventually that spiraled into the whole movie game genre, the walking simulators, and the very unfun genre that it became. But it's still the remnants of it, and its cinematic storytelling is still here. Despite that, though, the game is like very fast. There are very few cutscenes, and it feels very good to play. And yeah, they have very basic mechanics. You can pick up a spear, you can throw a spear. It works really, really well, and it's one thing that works really, really well, and you just keep doing it over and over again. I think that's what people have lost, is that when you're making a game in the 80s or 90s, you just had to make the guy jump good. You just had to make jumping feel good, because you're doing it over and over and over again. And so getting that one thing to work consistently and not be boring is really the bread and butter of of what you want. And I think this was similar to what the Halo devs said, like they want the 30 seconds of fun, and you want to just constantly remix that. You want to have a really core experience and then just hash it over and over and over again, essentially, in different ways and variations. And I think that entire philosophy has just been kind of lost, more or less. Games today, they're kind of based on the experience and how much content you can put in the game. Whether or not that content is actually good or not is not really important. It's kind of like it's content for the sake of content. Whether or not this gun has been programmed to be the best gun ever is not of consequence. We're going to have 50 bajillion guns that all work mediocrely is kind of the modern philosophy. And kind of tempt and, you know, BS and dance around, oh yeah, these gacha mechanics and all these other gambling things that keep you engaged rather than actually well-programmed gameplay. So yeah, I kind of went back to this because it was an innovation setting thing, and playing through it 20 years later, it still feels good. Again, nothing mind-blowing, but it's still very, very decent, very well made, and overall a nice, just a nice experience, I guess. Outside of that, I'm not sure what else to say, except the game is fine. It's aged well, I guess. Some of the scenes are, like, I was playing this on original Xbox, and some of the scenes were really, like, wow, you can do that with the Xbox, like the lighting, the mist, the technology. It was like, it was still, like, visually impressive in quite a few areas. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's some, like, fire puzzles, a few puzzle solving, combat, whatever. And yeah, nothing like super amazing or crazy, but it is what it is. It's a solid experience, and it's almost like a relic of time in a way. Anyway, that's pretty much all I really have to say about it. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you later. Bye.